everybody, my name is Sherry. Welcome to my stamp studio. Today we are going to be looking at the stamp sets and kind of giving you a feel for my upcoming online class. I was calling it a retreat. I'm gonna switch it up. It's more than my normal class and less than a normal retreat. So it's kind of a standalone event. It's going to be the Art of Stamping Christmas edition. So a lot of you took the Art of Stamping for fall. A lot of you have been following along on the Art of Stamping series that I have had going on my YouTube channel, and I will post a little link to that playlist because once I started calling it that, then I started to try to put them in the playlist. There are other videos that could easily be the Art of Stamping. So if you haven't been following that, what it is I've been calling the Art of Stamping. You know, if you're watching me, we can all stamp something and punch it out and put it on a card. And a lot of times we have to do that because we're out of time. But a lot of us enjoy the actual making of the card. Like, even if you're not going to give it to somebody, sometimes, and most of us like to color as children. And, you know, art's always been our thing. So these cards take a little bit more time. You would give them to somebody more special. But they all have, I'm going to try to put at least 2 techniques in every card. And I've challenged myself, you'll see in a minute, to use a product in this one that I haven't used much, and it's been sitting there. So I'm like, there's got to be more ways to use this. And of course I haven't done it yet. So cross my fingers I can come up with something, but we'll make 6 projects together, and we are going to focus on 2 stamp sets. And then I'm going to use this. So Peace to You and Hope and Peace. And then Hope and Peace will also, the other one doesn't have any words in it. This one has words, so we may use some of those, but we'll use these 2 and then the other. Now you don't have to get the stamps. If you're in another country and you just want to buy the videos, or you're here and you just want to buy the videos, there will be a PDF at the end that is, it doesn't have instructions because I do videos, but it will have the card photos and the measurements and what was used on the card, but no written instructions. I talk, and I talk a lot, so it's easier for me to do it that way. So I have it priced where you can get videos only, where you can get the retreat packet, or where you can get the retreat packet and then you can add on the stamps. And if you add on the stamps, then you're also going to get a free spool of ribbon. And all of the information, I'll put the link down underneath this video. So these are the first 2, Peace to You and Hope and Peace. And then this one I just did recently. It's Card Club alternate for next month. So that uses Peace to You. This uses Peace to You. And what I really like about this set is that could easily, you could turn it into a wedding card, because it's just, in fact, my niece who's getting married this month, her theme is evergreens. So you could change the colors and make the little chapel, although they all get married in a barn, don't they? We're going to a beautiful, lovely barn for the wedding. So there's this one. This one does kind of go in that Art of Stamping kind of feel to it. And then here's Hope and Peace again. And then the other one, and the one I'm going to use on today's card, is the Christmas Lights bundle. It is a bundle, and you will need to have the dies because we're going to need to use the dies. And this is posted on my channel as well. So those are some of the things that I've done in the past with the stamp sets that we're going to use. So I'm going to use Christmas Lights. This does have a set that goes with it that is words and more dies, but we're just, to cut down on what you need, we'll use these words. And then if you want to just add those on another time and get the other dies, and they may be on back order, I don't know. So this card I'm going to switch the colors that I have done my original card, and we'll see which one we like. So we're going to start with a black base. Now if you're doing a black base, and because I'm embossing, you will need embossing powders for this class. There's a whole list of what you'll need, and then I've kind of condensed it down because we're just doing 6 cards. We will do 3 with each set, and then we'll do 1 with each set with an unknown, because I don't know. And then we're going to do 1 card from each set with the gilded leaf. And then we'll do 1 with, I'll show you in just a second when we use this. So this is the cottage gingham paper, and it has gingham on both sides. Every year I do every year I do like a buffalo check snowflake. And so that's where I started out with this, and then I switched to the tree. So I'm doing a buffalo check tree. And then I have a piece of the gold. And then I have a piece of craft, because I have been on like a major craft kick if you've been watching me. And I'm going to switch the colors. I did use craft paper on my other one. I used, oops, and that is the wrong pad. That does not emboss. I thought I moved everything out of the way. I swapped the colors, and part of the reason I swapped colors was to show you that if you don't have the exact same colors that I'm using in the class, it doesn't matter. You can You can switch things around and they're still beautiful. So I think if we do this one, we'll be able to do all of our embossing, and then we'll have to, die cutting, and then we'll have to go back. So it's a large stamp, so make sure you stamp everywhere. So we have this, and then I have my tray already has, look, I didn't do this in the right order because I switched colors, so I'm doing it different. I'm going to emboss this tree. I'm going to go back the old-fashioned way and just use a piece of paper. Isn't that pretty? And I think the black's going to look really striking on this card. And I also, so on my other card, you'll see at the end, this is stamped embossed in white. And then I used the piece of this paper that was black and white check. You need to make sure you get everywhere because we're sending this through the cut and emboss machine. So if it's not melted everywhere when you send it through, it is going to come off. Now recently I have not had enough room on my table that I've been skipping showing you the cutting and the embossing part. This one, because there's some tips and tricks and because these die cuts are just kind of different, so I wanted to be able to show you. So we have this. And then I'm going to take the outline tree. And this paper, you can see it curls. So kind of just curl it back. If you want to use some washi tape to stick this down, you can. If you were one of the lucky ones that got the magnetic plate before they discontinued it, I thought it was fabulous. Then use that. But you can see if you go back and forth, then you're pretty good. And you always want to start with your plate out here and put this down, because if you do what I just started to do and you wedge it in, then often that moves your word die. And then just make sure before you send it through that it is where you want it to be. And then hold it until the machine grabs it. That's the other thing. People have it all lined up and then they let go and just let the machine. And sometimes when it squishes through, it just moves it a fraction. And you're like, oh, I could have sworn I lined that up. And you did. But if you didn't hold on to it, then the machine itself moves it. So you see that cuts that out. And we're going to use this again. This is why I wanted you to see them. I'm going to put it back over on my side. So this is gold. And so this is just a framelit, right? So it doesn't matter if it moves because that piece of paper is big enough. Now over here, this fun little die here will cut out holes into our tree. And now because I've ran it through the first time with the shape, it's easier to line up. Here, let me show you. So see the giant snowflakes, they have a place. Each one of them shows through, so they're not going to get cut out. So you line that up and you can see how each of those goes through the little hole. And the nice thing with this is it doesn't have to be perfect. It is punching holes that will be lights on our tree as we lay it over the top of this gold piece. One pass gets it. And look how much fun this is. The snowflake in the set does the same thing. So we will be able in the class to use just the dies themselves, or with the embossed images, or with a stamped image, or kind of mix and match what you want to do with them. They also make great tags. So you want to, on this one, you do want to make sure that you punch out all the little holes. They go mostly through on one pass, but because this is the craft paper, it's a little bit thicker. But you can see how it has those holes. That way, when you line it up with this, if you don't punch out all your holes, then there's fewer places for this to see. And I know that the camera is going to have a hard time picking that up. You can really see it in real life, and it lights up your tree. So we have that. Now we have to go back. And we'll go back to some heat embossing again. But first, I want to get the lights on here. So this comes with some lights as well. And then I'm just going to stagger them like they're going down the tree. Even if you weren't doing the art of stamping, this stamp set's going to take you a minute to use the pieces, because I wish they'd given us two. And maybe they did. Maybe it's just not my thing, but I don't think that we have to. Because every time you do this, you have to do another one. So I'm going to do it 4 times on my original card. I think I did it 6. This one's going to have a little bit less. And I think I'll emboss a little bit more on this one than I did on the other. So you can see I'm just going back and forth. You don't have to roll it back. One time through we'll get it. I'm just doing it because I'm standing over here and I didn't move my chair out from my desk. So it just comes back to me. Now, if you're doing this for your Christmas cards or you're using the set at all, here's the deal. Most of our husbands don't like, well, I know some men love to stamp, but mine doesn't love it. But he doesn't mind doing this. He doesn't mind doing the embossing while he's watching TV and the cutting out of stuff. Because it's, you know, there's a machine involved. So even if you think your husband wouldn't like it, just pull this thing out. Okay, but here's the deal. I've done this for a long time and I'm pretty good at what I do. But every time he helps me, he does feel the need to give me some helpful tips. Like maybe I don't know what I'm doing. So now we have this. So I am putting it on a black card. See, it doesn't do much, right? On the black card, you can layer it over other colors, like you could layer it this, and then you can see those lights through. So the possibilities with this set are truly endless. And this way, with the gold lights, you could do it for a summer barbecue invitation, right? It doesn't have to be Christmas lights. Now I'm going to take the light stamp. This is part of the reason I switched, because I think it'll be easier for me to see while I'm filming than the other one. Plus, I always like to see what the other colors look like. I'm going to stamp it again in Versamark. And then you just need to go opposite of where you did. Yes, I can see this. When you do it on the white, you can see it, but I had to keep holding it up to seeing where I stamped. And this way I can do it without having to take your time watching me do that. I'm just adding some more lights, because at Christmas time, I like lights. But even this part that I'm going to add on this, you could easily do this for a barbecue card. Or anytime, you know, an anniversary card, a New Year's card, the lights would be really good for a New Year's card. And then on the other one, I don't have one up here in the corner, but because that one goes so low down, I'm going to add, so if they're going this way, I want them to go that way. Then I'm going to do these in gold. And that's what's already in my tray. I have more than one tray. I just don't have more than one tray laying over here. So I had to do the black the old-fashioned way. Which isn't really old-fashioned because we had these trays a long time ago, years ago. So knock all that off. And on this one, it doesn't matter so much if you maybe have a little bit of, you know, the dust, because it'll just look like more lights. This one up. Isn't this pretty? So I laid this on every kind of metallic paper, and it was the white and black. And on this, it would show through really, really well. Like I could change the whole card. Isn't that pretty? And it just adds this. You can use the foils. You can use our other gold paper that comes with the pink. I mean, that's just beautiful. And so it adds a whole different look of lights than what the embossed ones, because it's an over-under. It really gives it depth. But because this is the art of stamping, and because I was like, when I do my classes, I always like to challenge myself to teach you something. And so for this, I really wanted to teach you something. So I'm going to teach myself something, because I'm going to use the pearlized effects on this card as they are intended. And then in the class, I'm going to try to come up with some ways to use them artfully. So we'll see. You'll have to do the class to see if I succeed in the challenge to myself. I'm going to take my dimensionals, and I'm going to use the little black ones. I don't know if you know, if you buy the black dimensionals, you get both sizes. So you get the tiny ones and the large ones. So I'm going to add the tiny ones anywhere where there's not holes, because, you know, obviously we don't want to cover up any of those holes that are showing our lights of the gold through. but the black will also, because there's no white on this card, on my other one I used the white ones because there was white. There's no white here, and I don't want the white dimensionals to show at all through a hole. This way, if they've kind of gone over one, it won't be white. And then I like to offset it ever so slightly. Because see where you can see that gold right there? I think it helps your eye say, oh, there's gold behind that card. And because it's lifted up, now you can kind of see it as the card moves. It gives a little bit of movement to your light. It's very pretty. I'm going to take this and stick it to my card here. And I may change my ribbon. I don't know. I only just thought about that now because there's no white on this card. So we have this. Now on my other card, I used the gingham, which is still pretty cute, right? But we have so many beautiful gold ribbons. Let me throw them all over here since I'm switching on the go. There's one more too. There's the thin gold one. So let's see if we like any of these better. So we have this one. Beautiful. Of course, we have that's the one that's open. We have the gold cord. If I was live, I would be able to ask you guys what you think. Oh yes, I think this one. It's going to give the whole card a whole different feel. And you know what? There is going to be some white when I use the pearlized effects. Do we like this one? No. I'm just going to switch it up all the way. Because a lot of times when you do these cards at Christmas, how many times have we got like 3 cards left to go and you run out of something? That happens to me almost every year. So then you have to go digging through your stuff to find something that matches. And often what I do is I have a little jar that's full of ribbon scraps. Because it seems like every year, it's just really hard to plan how much ribbon you need for a project. Because like this, I didn't need this much ribbon. I just cut it long. And we do that when we're, especially when we're mass producing. Or if you're filming. So I'm just going to tie this on here. And then I do want a little bow, and this is beautiful. Well, you don't want your bow to be overwhelming for your tree, so when you get it the right size, you can kind of shrink it down a little bit by pulling your loops in, or you can trim it this way. Because we want our tree and all those beautiful lights to be the centerpiece of this card. Now for this part, it's really important, I didn't realize it because I'd never done this before, to have this be flat. So this time I'm going to put my adhesive on here again so I don't cover up the holes. Not that it's going to matter because we're about ready to cover up the holes. So just go on the edges, because my other one was kind of, you know, anytime you've embossed something, how it kind of curls up. It was curling up and it made putting the pearlized effects kind of hard, difficult, because they weren't lining up. So get it nice and flat. And then we're going to take these. So there will be white. I could just do all black. I could just really change this card up, because on my other one, so here, I'll just show it to you. Here's the other one I have. So I used red embellishments, but we could use gold, and we could go black and just black and gold on this card, or we could do still the exact same card. Oh guys, I wish I was live so I could ask you. I think I'm just gonna try, the white isn't white, so I'm gonna leave the red off of this one. See how pretty this is? But you can see what I mean about the edges coming up. They needed, and I will be able to go back in a little bit and smash them down, you know, as we can. But these have been sitting here for maybe 20 minutes now, so I think they're touch dry, but I'm most certainly not going to smash them yet. So let's start. I won't talk as I do this, and that way I can fast forward it. But you just squeeze, and it makes a pearl. So I'm going to go every other one. It does have that little bit of like a Dairy Queen cone that comes out the top of it. If you were just doing a couple, you could probably sit there and make it, like swirl it away, like a Dairy Queen cone. I worked at McDonald's when I was a teenager, so you know the whole McDonald's machine, the ice cream machine, we did not used to run out of ice cream all the time. But I found that as they sit, as long as you have enough, they kind of just make themselves go down. Otherwise, they just look like old-fashioned Christmas lights. So here, this is the white, but you can see it looks more, it's more pearlescent than it is just straight up white. So it does look pretty on this card. And I am 100% certain that I will come up with a way to paint with this or to color it or to smear it. We'll do something, I promise, in the art of stamping that is not just using it for pearls, but it makes beautiful pearls. And you most certainly wouldn't put this many on a card of your embellishments, because I know you guys. When I put more than 3, sometimes you guys are like, I'm just going to do 3. Because most of us are embellishment hoarders. This time I'm making my pearls a little bit larger than I made them on the other one, so they're not quite touching, but they're close. And here's the deal, guys, the same thing with the embellishments. I don't know how the shelf life on this, but it's most certainly not forever because it's a paint, right? And how many of us painted t-shirts in the 80s and you didn't want to use up all your colors, and then 2 years later you went to use them and you're like, I have all these colors, and then they were dry because it's paint. So I would rather use it now and have these cards be beautiful. And I've made several things with these and they're still full. The amount of paint that you're putting on here when you squeeze these little pearls out. Now, if we use it to smear in Retreat, that may use it up quicker. So you can see up here at the top where they had those, let me hold it up for you, because if I catch it real soon, down here at the bottom, my freshest black ones, they still kind of have a point, but they settle down and they become much more of a pearl. Since I didn't do red, let's do real pearls on our tree. I did take my Wink of Stella, and I didn't do the whole tree, but I just kind of brushed some on here. So parts of the tree and most certainly the star. There is a little star die. I thought about taking some of the gold paper and putting it on top. Like I said, the possibilities with this bundle are endless. But now let's use, you want to use the tiny ones of these because you don't want to cover up what we just did. So on top of those, I'm just adding pearls. And on my other card, I didn't do it any place where the bow was covered up. And that's part of the reason I did it at the end, because there's no point in messing, using up your pearls. Now you could, because I made them bigger on this card and because I didn't use the red ones, you could just squirt the stuff on it. I'm going to put a big one on my star. I love that we have size options. You do want to be careful if you're working with it like me. If I was you, I would wait till everything's dry before I went back and did this step, because you don't want to accidentally touch any of your pearls. And then let's get a big one. These are our iridescent pearls. You could mix and match. You could put pearls and red ones on on any of the ones that have the red. Oh, I'm in love with it. And I know it's one of those cards because I think it's probably hard for the camera to capture the gold that's underneath. I'll try to move it a little bit so you can kind of see it. It shines through. And then here's the other one. I think you could also, let me see if these are getting drier. I hate to touch them. Yep. Those are pretty touch dry. You most certainly wouldn't put in an envelope yet. But you can also put this down a little bit if you want it right on top and have a different effect. I should have done that since I was switching the things up. And on this one, I did add some of the black and some of the white. And then I let the red on this one be the embellishment. Both are equally pretty, which is nice because, again, you can switch back and forth, because when you're using a Versamark pad, you can use any of your embossing powders, or you can stamp in color first and do clear over the top of it. But it's a great way to use up what you have laying around. So I'll put the registration information. You'll be getting an email for it if you're not on my email list, and sign up, because I have lots of fun stuff in my email. But I'll have the registration come out in an email soon. But the link, as soon as it's up, I don't have the registration form done yet, but it'll be underneath this video or in the email. So just hop over to my website, see close-ups of a card, find out what my thank you gifts are for this month, sign up to be on my team, and then the retreat is free. So all of the things are always in my email. So that's the easiest way to know what's going on. Have a great one. Bye.